This monster is kind of basic, but I think my favorite monster in Delicious in Dungeon is the giant frog. Like, sure, yeah, part of it is just because I think frogs are cool, like I'm a herpetologist, so like that's usually what I'm into animal-wise. But most of it is their symbiotic relationship with the tentacles that also grow in the dungeon. So these tentacles are basically terrestrial versions of sea anemones. They have cnidocytes, which are like the little stinging cells that activate when they come into contact with other organisms. They even act as filter feeders, so they just like hide in these crevices with just a little parts of them sticking out, and they feed on like, I think, spirits or something that's floating around the dungeon, right? Whatever. But then when they contact like other things, like would be predators or invaders in their space, they can reach out and like fling their tentacles everywhere and stab them with their little cnidocytes, just like actual sea anemones. But these frogs have a very cool symbiotic relationship with them. If you've noticed, like, you know, this very peculiar color pattern down here. Looks exactly like clownfish that have a symbiotic relationship with actual sea anemones. So in real life, clownfish get a really safe place to live. These things are filled with stinging tentacles, and the mucus on their body protects them from that. And in exchange, the sea anemones get protected from like predators, and they can kind of feed on some of the waste and food products that get brought in by clownfish, and then these guys clean up little parasites on them. That's kind of what these frogs are doing in Delicious in Dungeon. They get a safe place to live by living in the tentacles. They're covered in a special mucus, which we see the adventuring party like skin them and then wear their skin as suits to walk through them. And then the frogs protect them from predators by like sticking their tongues out, grabbing their weapons, and then chucking them down a hole. So it's very similar to the clownfish sea anemone mutualism that we see in real life. And if you watch this channel, you know that's the kind of stuff I'm a sucker for. I love a little bit of realism in my fantasy. So my answer for my favorite Delicious in Dungeon monsters are the tentacles and the giant frogs.